for Anthony Joshua losing to Daniel Dubois, of course, in that manner.
Yeah, it's the manner with which he lost. It's not about yes, you could, when you enter into a fight, you either win or you lose, you know, or draw. But in this instance, he went down several times before he was knocked out. I think in the 5th round there, and you do not expect a boxer of Joshua's standing, especially the way he came back. Remember, he's had some fights before, 3-4 fights, and he was doing so well in those fights, and you expect that yes, he was going to consummate it. But in this match against Dubois, it was like, wow, is this Joshua? Yeah,
it was a very disappointing performance from Joshua. No one expected him to be knocked out from that bout in that particular manner. Daniel Dubois didn't give him any space. He went into the ring and started, throwing the punches immediately. And Joshua, of course, before he could be able to regain himself and see how to put up a strategy to overcome the strengths of Daniel Dubois, it was too late for him. And all of a sudden, he was on the ground and couldn't able to, of course, stand up. His feet, of course, couldn't help him, on that particular day. And that's why we've seen some of these boxers coming up, of course, to throw some words, on him at this. For Jerry Miller, of course, not a very good friend with Anthony Joshua, so he can actually talk to him at this point in time where, he's down. But if that's rematch, of course, will see the light of the day. I feel Joshua will bounce back in a very, very remarkable way. And this is his 3rd loss. I think it's 4th loss to see, because he lost back-to-back to Usyk and lost to Andres Regina, now losing to Daniel Dubois at this point in time. So for me, a lot of lessons, for Anthony Joshua to learn. And I hope that, if this particular rematch will see the light of the day, he should be able to get back to the top.
Anthony Joshua, Anthony Dubois could be up next year. We'll keep our fingers crossed on that. And from boxing, let's look at tennis before we wrap up the first half of the show. World number 1 Jannik Sinner from Italy has withdrawn from the Paris Masters due to what he calls intestinal virus. This is coming from the organizers themselves, so it looks cocksure that Italian tennis star, who is presently the world number 1 in tennis, would not be part of the season-ending championship coming up in Paris.
It's a sad one for Jannik Sinner. I thought he was going to, of course, be in this one and as well improve on his ranking. We already understand Djokovic, of course, will be participating. So it was a way for Jannik Sinner, of course, to improve his ranking and also prepare for the ATP finals that will be coming up, of course, in November. But he actually contracted the virus even before getting down to Paris. And for me, it's really a sad one. The man has actually gotten a little bit of health issues so far this year. But he has been so strong that, despite whatever has happened to him, he has not, relent when it has to do with performance. But for me, I think there's an opportunity for players like Carlos Alcaraz, and the rest to step up and, see how far they can go this time around. I think in his absence, we should be looking forward to see Carlos Alcaraz stepping up this time and see how he can maybe get this one and also improve on this ranking. But so far, I think it's a sad one, and that will not be seen Jannik Sinner this time at the Paris Masters.
Jannik Sinner, world number 1, losing the opportunity of adding to his points because 1,000 points is at stake at the Paris Masters. And just after the Paris Masters, it is expected that the season-ending championship will be coming up in Turin. Let's hope that he will be part of the season-ending championship. Is this possible, Kingsley?
I think it should. Although his medical team have not come out to tell us the duration at which, duration of time that it will take, for him to recover when it has to do with the intestinal virus. But we hope that they will try most as they can to put things in place so that by November the man should be ready for the ATP finals.
ATP finals comes up in Turin by November, I think November 8th, and that promises to be exciting. Only 8 players are expected to be part of the Season Masters Championship, the first 8 players on the ranking points. Kingsley, is there any big name player you think that could be missing out on this one?
Not really. Not really. I think we should see the big name players at this point, the likes of Djokovic and hopefully Jannik Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, Medvedev. Those are the top 8 players at this point in time. We should be able to see them at this point. I think Djokovic, of course, should be able to play in this one, looking at the fact that he has opted out from the Paris Masters. So I think it's just to give himself that much time of having a very good performance at the ATP Finals. So I think we're looking forward to see the top 8 players this time at the ATP Finals.
We'll just wrap up today's story with the one coming from the Hong Kong Open. It's all about making more points with the season coming to an end. Britain's Katie Butler made a light work of Japan's Aaron Ito to reach the second round of the Hong Kong Open. Second seed Butler beat world number 156 6-4, 6-4. That shouldn't be a problem for the world number one British tennis player.
For me, I think I've been so impressed with Butler. I think she's improved so far this year. When you take a look at her performance, now ranked 27, though you will say you will expect more from her. Take a look at the fact that being a British number one, you should be able, of course, to challenge the best. And when you take a look at how far she's been able to go, so far she's won about 2 WTA titles for herself this year. And for me, it's so an impressive performance. We hope she can be able to build on this one, going forward, not stepping down, once again, because one thing we've noticed about the British players, they've not shown that high level of consistency, for some years now. But if Butler, can build on this, I tell you, to be an impressive one for the British players once again.
Butler definitely has improved on her ranking as well. She's presently world number 25 in female tennis. And that will be it for this edition of for this half on Sports Talk. We'll be back after a very short break where we'll bring you more stories coming in from football. And we understand the Nigerian National League is set for 2024-2025 season. Across that, there are some exciting action as well. Do Manchester United have a new coach? When we return from a break, we'll let you know.
The people of Maiduguri need your help. A catastrophic flood has engulfed the city, leaving over 1 million residents stranded and fighting for survival. Entire communities are submerged, with people trapped inside homes and on rooftops cut off from food, clean drinking water and essential supplies. Health experts are warning of a potential outbreak of deadly diseases, and medical facilities are out of commission. The situation is dire. Helicopters, boats and high-riding trucks capable of navigating the treacherous, waterlogged areas are urgently required to reach the countless men, women and children still awaiting rescue. The Nigerian media is issuing a desperate plea to the government, humanitarian organizations, international actors and citizens across the nation. Step in now, before it's too late. For more information on how you can help, contact Professor Usman A. Tar, the Honorable Commissioner for Information and Internal Security, Borno State, on 0809-233-3955. Every second counts.
This is powered by Atlantic Television Network.
Welcome back, Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and we now bring you some football stories. And first, we'll start with the 2024-2025 Nigerian National League fixture just being released. Kingsley, all is now set for the season in the Nigerian National League. Any star feature?
Yeah, of course. We're going to be seeing some interesting fixtures, and of course, the opening encounter will be between Abakaliki FC and Madiba FC. That promises to be an exciting one because it's going to be the curtain raiser for the tournament. And as well, we'll see Sporting Lagos. They were relegated last season from the Nigerian Premier Football League. They'll also be back as well in action in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Not forgetting the new team from Akwa Ibom State, the Gosla Akpabio FC. Is a new team, and they'll also be looking forward to see how to fight for promotion to the Nigerian Premier Football League. Also see Beyond Limit FC, who got promotion last season, but were not able to play in the Nigerian Premier Football League due to issue of ownership. They are also in the NNL. Maybe let's see what comes up for them if they even get promoted, if they will be allowed to play. Dakada FC, they are still one side that have been struggling so far. In the Nigerian National League since they got relegated about 3 seasons ago. So it promises to be an exciting one. Taking a look at some of these teams, some of these big name teams, in the Nigerian National League. So let's see how it goes. And kudos to the organizers. I think we've seen them, they've tried the most they can to see how to put the league, of course, in order. For I got to report that they will be streaming some games, talking about the NNL games as well. So let us see what, the NNL will come up with this time. But I know it is always going to be very, very, tough as it is to be.
Nigerian National League set to get underway for 2024-2025 football. The kickoff is appropriately exactly November 30th, so we'll still have a few more days to the kickoff of the 2024-2025 season. But at least it's good news that ahead of the kickoff, the fixtures have been released and teams are expected to prepare themselves for this kickoff coming up on the 30th of November. From the Nigerian National League, now let's look at the latest happening around the Nigerian Premier League football. Kingsley, Enyimba International, one of the teams in the Nigerian Premier League, has been fined 1 million naira for misconduct capable of bringing the game into disrepute. What happened to Enyimba in this instance?
Yes, I think for me it's as a result of, we saw what really happened. There have been issue of, referee, a lot of, criticism on referee. And I think the league body were not, happy from what, some of the clubs did to some of the referees this in the just concluded week of match day. They were also Kano Pillars, of course, also being fined heavily, and Enyimba as well. But they actually won the game, but a little bit of controversy, especially when it has to do with some decisions that were made, in that encounter, and a situation whereby, the referees are just being attacked, at some point. I think the league body are not taking it lightly at this point in time against any team. It's either you're being fined heavily, or maybe points, will be deducted, from you, and that's what I was seeing at this point in time. But for me, I think Enyimba should be able to conduct themselves, because if you take a look at it, they still have a long way to go when it has to do with fighting for the title this season.
Enyimba International fined for making disparaging comments about the central referee and other officials in the match between them and the Ikorodu City at the Enyimba International Stadium. You will recall that Enyimba, at the stage, was playing 1-1 up to 90 minutes plus added time, and then in the course of added time, they were able to score the second goal in that fixture. But before then, they were on the losing side before Ikorodu City, before they equalized, and I think some calls that were made in that match were not palatable for them, and they made disparaging comments about the referee and other match officials. And now the NFF is not taking that lightly, because they say it is bringing the game to dispute, that there are other appropriate channels to make complaints about these officials and not go straight to the press. Kingsley, do you think Enyimba should have used appropriate channels, what is called appropriate channel, to make complaint about match situations?
Yes, of course. Use the appropriate channel. You have to write, of course, to the league body about, what you're not so convinced about. And maybe the way the center referee officiated the game. You say that to your your point, down to league body, not taking it to social media. It's not that, very palatable at all, to the league. I think what the league body they're trying to do now is to put the league on a very good shape. At this point, they're looking forward to attract brands, to come sponsor the league. So in a situation whereby these are being put up on social media and everyone is saying it, it will stay away and make brands, to stay away, from coming put their money into the league. So I think what Benga Elegbeleya and his board are trying to do is to make sure they give the league a very good, shape and brand it in a very good way that people can come and put up that, sponsorship. The other day we saw Ahmed Musa also complain about officiating, and Kano Pillars were also heavily, fined as well. So I think these clubs, the Nigerian Premier League clubs, should see how to channel, to look for the appropriate means to channel their, complaints down to the league body, not taking it down to social media. Not a very good way, of course, of branding the league. So this time at times happened in the Premier League. I think that last season ago, Ateta came up, when he was asked a question, and he criticized the center referee. He was actually being fined, at some point. So you do not, jeopardize or tarnish the image of the league by trying to do it the way you want. Do it in the appropriate means, and that's what the league body are telling the teams.
Exactly, there are rules and frameworks for the teams, and you are expected to follow these rules, and that's what Enyimba has, do I say misabused or didn't follow, and they have been fined 1 million naira. They have the right of appeal, but that will have to come within the next 48 hours. If not, they forfeit it and must pay the fine. Let's go national now. The Super Eagles of Nigeria, the Super Falcons of Nigeria, we understand only yesterday beat their Algerian counterpart for the second time in a friendly, by 4 goals to 1. This friendly took place here in Nigeria at the Mobile Johnson Arena. 2 games in a few days, and the Falcons are better than the opponents. 4-1 in his return second leg fixture. Very
impressive performance for the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Won the first game 2 goals to 0, and came back and won the second 4 goals to 1. That's about 6 goals to 1 in total. If you take a look at it, very good outing for them. We saw the likes of Gift Monday looking very, very much impressive in that encounter. And I think for me, we're seeing a new Super Falcons in the absence of Coach Randy Wardrum at this point in time, and we look forward to see what the new coach will be able to put up out there. Super Falcons, they are one of the best when it has to do with African women football, and we hope that with this level of momentum and with this new regime at this point, we're able to see the Super Falcons getting down to that height, of course, we used to see them before.
Super Falcons, congratulations for preparing well. This is international friendly, and the 2 teams had to use the period to get themselves ready, and I think the Falcons are getting into shape under a new head coach. Meanwhile, we can now look at the Flying Eagles of Nigeria, the under 20 B side, Kingsley. They have qualified for the AFCON 20. The next edition of the AFCON coming out next year, 2025, but they still have a game to play in the final of the Wafood B side coming up, and their counterparts. Do you see them taking out their counterparts from this encounter?
It's going to be a tough one. It will be against Ghana. Of course, you understand that rivalry between Nigeria and Ghana. So whenever these 2 sides meet, it's always a very tough one. It's always a cracker. But we hope that with the performance, we've seen from these players, they were going to use it, in this particular one. It wasn't a very good start for them. They lost against Burkina Faso, was able to come back against Ivory Coast, and also beat Nigeria Republic to get down to the final. And with the last 2 performances, say you're good as your last game. When you take a look at the last 2 games, they were very much, fantastic. So Ghana, they're also another side that have also showed much progress as well. So that's why I said it's going to be a tough one, but I just believe that the boys will be able to see how to get, the result against Ghana. That rivalry thing will come to play, but I think the Nigerian players, have what it takes to get past Ghana today.
No matter what happens in the final between Nigeria and Ghana at the Wafu B Championship, both countries have qualified for the AFCON 2025 coming up in Morocco. Kingsley, this is, do you think the both of them are adequate, do I say, proper representative of Nigeria, of Africa, come next, I'll just say Wafu Zone B come next year?
I think they are. If you take a look at it, they are. When you take a look at level of performance, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria, they've been there, several times. They have a very good record as well. So if you take a look at it, very good. For Ghana as well, I think they also have what it takes when you take a look at their performance from what they've done so far in this particular one. So for me, I think they will be a good representation down here and in this particular one.
West African football, will be represented by Nigeria and Ghana at next year's African Cup of Nations for under 20 level. Let's step it up a little and look at the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We understand Nigerian Football Federation has said that the Confederation of African Football definitely picked November 14th and 18th for Nigeria's final 2025 African Cup of Nations qualifying matches against the Republic of Benin and Rwanda. Nigeria is expected to play the Republic of Benin away and of course play on the 18th of November against Rwanda at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo. It looks like yes, these fixtures are coming up. The Super Eagles of Nigeria just need to win this one or at least get a favorable result. They have qualified already.
Already, they are at the verge of qualification, 10 points already, top of the group due to that decision from CAF in that crisis we saw between Nigeria and Libya at 10 points. So they stand in a very, very comfortable position. Just a win for the Super Eagles, I tell you, they will actually put their two legs in Morocco, getting ready to play the next African Cup of Nations. So for me, it's a good one. And talking about the teams that will play in Benin Republic, I think they'll be coming all out, taking a look at what the Super Eagles did to them, last time. Even Rwanda as well. It was a very tough game in Rwanda. It ended, in a draw. But I think the Rwandans as well will look forward to see how they can step up. So if you take a look at it, it's a fight as well between Benin Republic and Rwanda on who will also get, that, edge as well. But for me, it's going to be an easy one for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And I think for me, under Coach Austin Aguavon, Super Eagles, they've been impressive. In fact, they've even stepped up when it has to do with the FIFA ranking due to the few games they've played under Aguavon. And I think for me, he should continue. For me, Aguavon should continue just a little bit of games, and then we'll see if the NFF will give him the job permanently.
Well, we'll say congratulations to the Super Eagles in advance, but hopefully they should be out there as qualifiers, given that those 3 points and 3 goals given from the ballroom from the CAF headquarters. Now let's look at what is happening across. You are aware that the Ballon d'Or for 2024 season is come and gone. Rodri of Manchester City has been crowned as the winner by Kingsley. Across Africa, Nigeria's Ademola Lookman was in the mix.
Yeah.
He actually finished as number 14 ranked player for the Ballon d'Or and the only African on that list. And a lot of people are, pouring and coming on Ademola Lookman, who plays his professional football in Italy.
I think the man has done so well for himself in the just concluded season. Went to the finals of the African Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast, scored about 4 goals, and as well, won the Europa League with his side. Talking about Atalanta beating Bayer Leverkusen, who maintained a very good record, last season, and he's still firing, of course, for his side. Talking about Atalanta this season. It's been an impressive one, for Ademola Lookman, finishing 14th, in the FIFA in the Ballon d'Or, ranking. I think last time we saw in Nigeria and there was Victor Osimhen, who finished 8th. But Ademola Lookman coming up this time around, 14. You will see, of course, an impressive one. And for me, it really paved way for him when it has to do with the CAF Men's Player Award as well that will be coming up this year. He is one of the nominees, and I think with this particular height now, it gives Ademola Lookman that chance of, bagging that award. Talking about the CAF award that will be coming up soon. So it's really been an impressive, time, an impressive career as well and season for Ademola Lookman.
Ademola Lookman's ranking as 14th in this year's Ballon d'Or competition has excited the NFF president, Guzo Kingsley, who will be happy if you have your award, as the only African in the top 20 in the world.
I think Guso should be happy because under his time, I was seeing two Nigerian players nominated for the Ballon d'Or. Osimhen was there last time, finished 8th, and Ademola Lookman is also there this time, finishing 14th. I think Guso should be very, very happy, at least in his time. We've seen, Nigerian players getting at, putting up that impressive performance, at the top echelon of football. So he should be very, very proud of himself. And during this time, Osimhen won the African Best Player of the Year. Who knows if the next, of course, will also be a Nigerian player. So I think the man should be happy that in his time, Nigerian players are making huge progress.
Nigerian players return to the top of football across the continent, especially in the world. This time around with the Ballon d'Or with Ademola Lookman for Atalanta, who plays for Atalanta as number 14 best player in the world of football. Talking about Ballon d'Or, the controversy continues to rage. Manchester City's Pep Guardiola manager is in this mix now. He's saying that efforts to, let's say, water down the feat of Rodri as a Ballon d'Or winner is not right. You are aware Real Madrid players and officials did shun the ceremony because Vinicius Junior was not named the winner.
Yeah.
And but then Pep Guardiola, the coach of Rodri, the winner of this year's Ballon d'Or, says there's more to it than what we are hearing across.
Yeah, actually it was a bit controversial because I think a few hours to the Ballon d'Or event, we got reports, from a reputable journalist, Fabrizio Romano, that Vinicius Junior and the rest of his Madrid members would not be attending the Ballon d'Or, events, and that actually brought a lot of, issues, among many football, lovers. And of a truth, they were not there. Even Carlo Ancelotti, who won the best coach of the year, was not there. Kylian Mbappe, who also won an award as well, wasn't there. So I think it was a very big, issue. I think they got to know that Vinicius Junior won't win, and that's why they declined, going for the event this time around. But Pep is coming up to say that the Ballon d'Or wasn't influenced, for Rodri. If you take a look at it, Rodri had a very impressive performance, ahead of Vinicius Junior. Won, the Premier League with Manchester City. Won the Euros, of course, with his Spanish national team as well. Had a very impressive record, for City. Yes, we understand Vinicius Junior won the UEFA Champions League, but how was his Copa America performance? That's another thing, of course, to take a look at. And character-wise, how has these two players, been able to put up themselves? If you take a look at it, Rodri has a very good gesture in terms of character on the pitch than Vinicius Junior. So all of these things were put in place, and at the end of the day, people voted more, for Rodri. So whenever things, happens like this, people will have to say so many things. But Rodri has been given the Ballon d'Or award. I think Vinicius Junior there's still time on his side. He still has more time to fight.
For me, I think Rodri's performance with the national team Spain gave him this ahead of Vinicius, who didn't win with Brazil. Well, let's begin to wrap up the show. And of course, there is Carabao Cup fixture tonight. Manchester United is involved in an action. Kingsley?
Yeah, Manchester United against Leicester City.
That promises to be a thrilling one, but the issue around Manchester United is the fact that they sacked their coach a few hours ago, and now they have a new coach in place as well. This looks very fast. We understand Sporting Lisbon coach is in the mix. This one, Ajorin, who is a 39-year-old, he's been hired by Manchester United, and he will turn out to be the youngest manager ever to coach Manchester United in her history.
It's a big one at this point in time. Is it the man that United fans that were expecting? I think it's really going to cause a lot, of issues among United faithfuls. But can he change the narrative at Manchester United? That's the big thing. No matter how, if he's going to be the youngest, does he have the experience? I understand. I think he was being tutored by Jose Mourinho, so I don't know what pattern is going to be bringing to Manchester United at this point in time. But we just have to keep our fingers crossed and see what he brings to the table, because the issue at Manchester United now is just beyond ordinary. We've seen about 9 managers come and gone and still unable to bring back Manchester United to their glory days after Sir Alex Ferguson left. Is he the man that will change the narrative? I think we just have to keep our fingers and see what comes up.
Carabao Cup action takes place across England tonight. Last night we saw a lot of action, and surprisingly, Brentford had to struggle to take out Sheffield only on penalties. But tonight, Brighton will take on Liverpool in 7:30 p.m. encounter, where Aston Villa will take on Crystal Palace. We've told you already that Manchester United will take on Leicester City, while Newcastle will take on Chelsea. An interesting fixture, I must tell you. Preston North End will have Arsenal to contend with, while Tottenham Hotspur will contend with Manchester City. And that will be this edition of Sports Talk. Definitely we'll be back at 6 p.m. Nigerian time for Sports Extraordinary, when we'll take a look at the fixtures coming up tonight as well in Italian Serie A, where AC Milan lost last night, if you remember, to Napoli. So more fixtures comes up tonight. Inter Milan will be in action against Empoli. Venezia will take on Udinese. But all of that, we will take in-depth look at them on Sports Extraordinary. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlantic Television Network.
The people of Maiduguri need your help. A catastrophic flood has engulfed the city, leaving over 1 million residents stranded and fighting for survival. Entire communities are submerged, with people trapped inside homes and on rooftops cut off from food, clean drinking water and essential supplies. Health experts are warning of a potential outbreak of deadly diseases, and medical facilities are out of commission. The situation is dire. Helicopters, boats and high-riding trucks capable